Welcome to the Highbury Squad. You can follow us on Twitter at Highbury Squad. In fact, it's the same on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and eventually iTunes. Join me, Sophie, aka at Soccer Diva, Amanda, aka at Gooner Girl 1969, and our very special guest, Super Kevin Campbell. It's just like being down the pub with your mates.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Highbury Squad. We're back. We've been off for quite a while, haven't we, Soph?
No, you said that last time we did a show and we actually weren't, and we were only on a few days ago, pre-North London derby. Maybe it's because you've been in Peterborough too long and the air up there is a little different than London.
Anyway, moving on. Hi, Soph. I feel like it's been ages since we podded, but it obviously hasn't. But so much has gone on, hasn't it? Just so much. Shut up, you. Anyway, we have our pod brother tonight, Mr. Kevin Campbell.
Hello, ladies. How are you?
Super Kev, he would have finished that penalty.
Yes.
I know he would have scored that penalty.
Listen, we're on number 22.
Oh,
so
the Ducks.
Let's do it.
22.
I've
Bingo.
got no clue what's just happened. 20. Oh, you mean episode 22?
Yeah, we're on number 22.
Oh,
and by the way, before we even get there, what you just said, Sophie.
Yes, my son.
Aubameyang took the same run-up at the Emirates for the first goal. So I don't know how people are trying to question his run-up now.
No, I'm not questioning his run-up.
No, I'm not saying you are.
Just the finish, babe. Just the finish.
I'm not saying you are, darling. I'm not saying you are.
Okay,
I'm just saying people.
Right, before you two start, because this goes on every pod, what we're going to do, Kev, we're going to let you talk to us about Everton and Liverpool, because obviously that's really interesting as well.
What?
Yes, we are. We've got a lot of Liverpool and Everton listeners, so let's go there in a minute. But obviously the main talking point. Now, I just want to reel off a list, okay, of things that I want you all to comment on. All right, let me get to the end of the list. So, regarding the North London derby, let's discuss the following. The lineup. Lacazette missing within the first 2 minutes. Jacques Kane, the foul. Lacazette to Ramsey, the beautiful goal, who ran from his own half, which was a Sanchez mistake. The Kane. I'm just going to call it the Kane. That's it, because there's so much debate, and I've actually spoken to the ref today about this to get clarification on law 1 or law 2, whatever. We'll go there again. One of the things I feel that's getting missed is Leno's double save, which I thought was, the second one was like a worldie. The chance from Monreal to Lacazette he missed. Rose on Leno. We'll get there as well. You've just touched on the penalty by Aubameyang, and I have to say, I just want to say one thing before we even go into the whole list of everything you all want to talk about. He didn't look confident, Kev, and that was my concern straight away. But we'll talk about that in a second. And then, Vertonghen encroaching. Now, Soph, just give us, I mean, I think I've listed everything that we all want to talk about there. Just tell me what your thoughts were. At the end of the game, what was your thoughts?
I think, like a lot of gooners, I had many, many thoughts. My number one thought, though, guys, was that we let one slip away. They may have let one go in their own regard, but we let it slip away, regardless of the decisions. And I'll just do this in a nutshell, because there is a lot to talk about, and we can get back to some of your points, Amanda, because they're all brilliant and they are all major talking points. But for me, if you're asking me in a nutshell what I was left with the fact that the referee made some very dubious decisions on both sides. But in the end, as football plays out, we had the final say.
Oh, let me stop you there, Soph. Sorry. And added to the list is the Torreira red card. I completely forgot that off my list. Carry on.
Roger that.
Yes, I do apologise.
I was left with the sentiment that regardless of everything that happened, egregious or not, we had the final kick of the ball in the game and the final say. And even in that moment, the refereeing was egregious because of the encroachment of Vertonghen. But even with that said, had Aubameyang converted the penalty, all of these talking points would be somewhat of a moot point. So in a nutshell, podcast sister, that's what I'm going to leave you with, and we can get back to all of the other talking points as we go. But that for me was the thing that's just stuck in my throat. Like, man, I know that things went against us. I know that one went against them. In the end, was it a penalty on Aubameyang? It was a little bit harsh, if I'm being honest, but that's football. And he had the chance to be an instant cult hero. And no matter the run-up, no matter what happened, he should have buried that, period.
Okay, so I'm going to come to Kev in a second, but what I would like to say is I'm actually more annoyed with the linesman than I am the referee, because the referee has no chance of seeing whether Kane's offside or not, considering there was at least 4 of them offside.
True.
Regarding Danny Rose, I don't know what the referee saw, if I'm honest. I know they've come out and said something today, but I've not caught up on that, so maybe Kev can enlighten me in a minute. But I would also, to me, if that was
Bruce Lee, right? It was like a Bruce Lee.
Yeah, I just, do you know what? We can go through this when our guest comes on about the media and I just even don't even want to go there at the moment. But what I would like to say is that I didn't think it was a penalty in Aubameyang, and I can be, I don't have rose-tinted glasses when it comes to Arsenal, but Harry Kane was offside. And the law stands that he's offside. Full stop. End of. He went for the ball. He's offside. The fact that Alan Shearer came out on Match of the Day and said the same thing and got lambasted for it because apparently he doesn't know the laws, which he was right. Kev, after everything we've spoken about, you've played in many North London derbies. They're always the same. The crowds go ballistic. The player, it gets a bit tasty sometimes. I think we were lucky with Xhaka. I think they were lucky with Rose. I think they were lucky with Sanchez. I think they were lucky with a lot of things. What was your take on the game?
I thought Arsenal performed really well. Considering when I saw what the team, you know, there was no Ozil, there was no Aubameyang, there's no Torreira. But you know what Unai Emery tends to do, he tends to game plan for teams. So I think that was what he started to do. You know, the way Arsenal approached it was very good, was very comfortable. And obviously there was a Sanchez mistake, but great through ball by Lacazette for Ramsey, who had the legs to go through. And what a fantastic finish to put us in front. Obviously, you know, Spurs are going to come to try and equalise and come on strong. And that was when Leno produced that double save, which I thought was superb, absolutely superb. I think that really now establishes him as the number one, because that was such a huge double save.
Brilliant, wasn't it?
And then moving forward, I didn't think we were in much trouble at all.
No?
But no, I didn't think we were in much trouble at all. For me, we got undone by poor officials and poor officiating. Because let's have it right. The linesman, or whatever they want to call him now, he has got to see. It's a free kick, for God's sake. He has to be able to look along that line and see players offside. But he gets that wrong. The referee, I thought, got it wrong as well. And they gave a penalty, which Harry Kane doesn't miss these penalties. He's an expert at them. So again, we get undone by that. Obviously, there was challenges going in. Look, Danny Rose, that was a red card. We know that. But look, the referee, I'm not condoning the referee sending loads of players off. So we didn't have to send him off. Fair enough, he didn't. So if that's the way he's going, I understand it. There was the Sanchez incident. That could have been a sending off as well. He didn't. If he's seen it, he didn't send him off. No problem. So now we get to the real crux. Was it a penalty on Aubameyang? I don't think it was. Me personally. But as Arsenal, if they've got one cheap one at one end, we get a cheap one at the other end. I'll take it, okay? I thought Aubameyang, it's the same run-up. People could say about he should smash it. That isn't how he takes his penalties. He scored one in the first game we played against them in the league. Exactly the same run-up. But when it goes in the back of the net, it's good play. When it doesn't go in, he should have smashed it, or he should have changed his run, or wasn't confident, or whatever. I just think that he does it the way he does it, and the goalkeeper gets right. But something I really want to touch on here is Vertonghen could have took the penalty.
Yep.
He was that close to the ball.
Yep.
So what does that tell you about the actual referee? That tells you the referee is not doing his job, because there should be no encroachment. And the reason why there should be no encroachment, fair enough, Aubameyang missed the penalty. But when the ball got played back across for Aubameyang to kind of put in the net, who was the player who was right on him to get it away? Vertonghen. You understand what I mean? So
yep, he got the rebounds, and you know what? He would have scored. And it's so unfair, Kev. It's so that for me, that and Harry Kane's header. The penalty. That's what's done it for me. But let's just look at it a different way. Lacazette gets the 2 chances, and Aubameyang scores, and we deserve to win it. We were the better side.
Amanda, can I just finish off?
Yeah.
Really important. And then there's the Torreira incident. Now, Danny Rose has got away with one, fair enough. Yeah, we're not condoning the referee want as many players on the pitch and all that kind of thing. Torreira clearly gets the ball. And I find it very difficult. If you go and get the ball, but your momentum is going, you can't stop your momentum. It's impossible to stop momentum. So if you're going to win the ball, you go to win the ball and he can't stop it. So the referee all of a sudden goes against what he's been doing all game and sends Torreira off. Which, if you think about it, if there's going to be parity or there's going to be some consistency in his decisions, it would have been 10v9. Because Spurs should have had 2 players sent off. But poor refereeing, poor officiating cost Arsenal. And it makes you finish the game finishes 1 each, and you think to yourself, you feel like we lost the game. For all the good work that Arsenal done, we feel like we lost the game. Yeah, it's still a good point away at Spurs. But we had them. We had them, and we got undone by poor officiating.
Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to bring a Tottenham fan on that's going to be happy to discuss all this with us, aren't we, Soph?
You know, he's a Tottenham fan, but he's also a top-notch journalist, right? So, yes, why don't we bring on Mr. Ben Hayward, who used to be a chief football writer for Goal.com and is now a La Liga expert and football correspondent for the London Evening Standard. He has covered the World Cup, the European Championships, Copa America, and every single football tournament on the planet. And yes, he does support Spurs. So either we're brave or he's brave. Let's bring him on. So without further ado, welcome Ben, a very brave man coming on the Gooner podcast show. How you feeling, Ben?
I'm feeling good, Sophie. Thank you. How about you?
Very well, thank you very much. We appreciate you joining the Highbury Squad today with myself, Amanda, and Super Kevin Campbell. You may remember him. He scored a few goals against, you know, a lot of people. Just saying. So we've been sitting here dissecting the game. Amanda kind of had this laundry list of things because it was definitely a game where there was a lot of incident. Kevin just literally kind of talked through all of the major talking points, especially the penalty at the end, which we three feel is probably the most egregious thing about the North London derby. Is forget everything that kind of happened. The Vertonghen infringement for us seems to be the harshest pill to swallow. Talk us through your assessment of the North London derby and where you come out in the wash.
Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of the performance, I think Tottenham did all right. Maybe the second half performance warranted getting a point, but I can certainly understand why you guys will be frustrated with some of the decisions. And, you know, obviously the penalty that Tottenham got, I'm not sure either of them were penalties really. And then, the infringement at the end. So, I can understand it from your point of view. I think Tottenham were a little bit lucky with the decisions going their way in that match. So, I can admit that. Happy with the point, though.
Can I just ask a question, Ben? Do you honestly think that you deserved a point over the whole game?
I think on the balance of the play, then yes. But then if you look at the decisions, then maybe not. So, yes and no.
Okay. Kev?
Which decision, and which decision did you feel was the most egregious? Like on both sides, because I mean the penalty for you guys was that one felt like a kick in the balls, and I don't have balls. But then the one at the end felt even worse. Which one for you did you think was the most defining moment of the game? Because there were so many.
I think, you know, the defining moment has to be the penalty for Tottenham, doesn't it? Because without that, then we're not getting back in the game. So there's that ruling as well that isn't quite clear whether it, you know, even though it's an offside position, it can still be given. That I don't quite understand and don't really agree with. But that has to be the turning point. And then obviously Arsenal missing the chance to win it at the end, let alone Vertonghen. If the penalty is a good one, then that's that. Lloris, by the way, doesn't save many penalties, so unfortunate for you guys that you missed it at the end. But it was so important for Tottenham after losing the previous two to kind of stop the rot, and also to stop Arsenal from really closing in to a point.
I was just talking to Kevin earlier. I was taking bets that he would have finished that penalty. You know, a lot of Arsenal fans are giving Aubameyang a hard time for his run up, and we talked about that a little bit just before you came on. It was a poor penalty in the end, and it's just unfortunate because I think that we all believe that we deserved it. But, you know, one of the reasons why we've asked Ben on the show, Super Kev and Amanda, is because of his amazing work in La Liga. And here's a guy who really knows Unai Emery, his teams, his strategy, his relationship with Monchi. And so I wanted to bring Ben on to kind of talk us a little bit about that relationship, you know, Emery in Spain and stuff like that. And really, Ben, how you feel like he's done so far in his first season at Arsenal. And, you know, for us, we're trying to tap into his personality, get to know him, the kind of guy he is. What light can you shed for us on the enigma that is Unai Emery thus far for Arsenal fans?
Yeah, that's right, Sophie. I think he is a bit of an enigma. He's probably going to take a little bit of time for him to open up, for Arsenal fans to really get to know him. He's a very private person, but like you say, he did great work in Spain. And he, had success obviously at Paris Saint-Germain as well. But obviously starting out in Spain, he was outstanding at Almeria. He took them to 8th place in La Liga, little Almeria, and then got snapped up by Valencia. Got something of a hard time from fans and from the media at Valencia. They were a very demanding club, as you probably know. But look at the trouble that they've had since he left. And that will show you that the good work that he did. He took them to 3 consecutive third-place finishes in La Liga, which was impressive. He wasn't able to win a trophy there, but they were always qualifying from the Champions League. They were always maybe quite far behind, Barcelona and Real Madrid, but they were always in 3rd place while he was there, 3 seasons in a row. That was impressive. And then, of course, at Sevilla, winning the Europa League 3 times in a row, is a fantastic achievement for him. And the partnership with Monchi really, I think, brought the best out of both of them. So if if it's true that Monchi is moving to Arsenal, then I think that that's something that Arsenal fans can be very excited about. I mean, Monchi is a Sevilla legend, not because of his playing days. You know, he was a goalkeeper, a rather average one, in fact. But his time as a sporting director, he brought through so many great players. You know, Dani Alves, Adriano, the Brazilian defender, Baptista, who you guys will know because he had a spell at Arsenal as well, Canute, Keita, Rakitic. And, you know, lots of them ended up at Barcelona, funnily enough. Aleix Vidal, Eva Banega, another great midfielder who's still at Sevilla, and Lenglet, the last one of them all. And just so thorough in how he works. He knows European leagues inside out, but also South America. He's got an extraordinary list of contacts all over, and just keeps track of players for years and years, and gets to know their families, and, you know, really looks at whether they're right, not just in terms of technical ability and how they'll fit in tactically and technically, but also in terms of their personality, what they're like off the pitch, if they're family oriented, that kind of thing. And, you know, took Sevilla to great heights, and he has a great relationship with Unai Emery. So I think that's something potentially very, very exciting. And I think it means also that we're going to see Emery staying at Arsenal, whatever happens. And I think that that's the right decision because, you know, it's a project. You can't expect miracles in the first season.
Ben, Kev Campbell here, mate. Do you actually think Unai Emery will turn the Arsenal fortunes around? Because I think he's done a decent job up to date. I think he's done well. What's your thoughts on that, seeing as you know him pretty well?
Yeah, I think he's done a decent job, Kev. What I would say is that it's very, very difficult now. The Premier League has changed so much, and obviously you'll remember when Wenger came in back in '96, I think it was, and just totally transformed Arsenal straight away. And, you know, we're winning titles and FA Cups, you know, virtually as soon as he arrived. I don't think that's possible nowadays in the Premier League. Even Pep Guardiola, with all the money that he had at his disposal and that great Manchester City squad, you know, took a season of transition before that Manchester City were winning things, were winning the Premier League at least. And I think Unai Emery, after such a long time under Wenger, you know, he's trying to change the culture, he's trying to change the playing style, the habits, the fitness, all sorts of things. And I think that takes time. And I honestly think it's the most competitive Premier League now that there's ever been, you know, with all the big clubs pretty much getting their act together. So I think even if Arsenal don't make the top four this season, I don't think there's any reason to be alarmed. I think it's a project. I think he needs time. And I do think he's the right man for the job, definitely.
As long as it's not a 10-year project like Mr. Pochettino, but we'll leave that one to the side. Sorry, Ben, you know me, I couldn't resist. I have.
Sophie, listen a minute. All right, Tottenham haven't won the thing yet, okay, but third, second, and third consecutive finishes. I mean, that's the best Tottenham have had since the Bill Nicholson era. So,
sorry, can I just ask a question? I'm just curious what you win for coming second and third. Maybe I'm a little bit naive. See, the thing is, Ben, we have this sort of issue with Tottenham fans, and my life is full of Tottenham fans, is that I don't understand how you see that as successful. I understand you're doing well in the Premier League, you're doing better than us, and you have done the last few seasons. But is that all you aim for? Or is a trophy not important? I'm not being sarcastic, funny enough. Normally I am. But I'm curious from someone who works in the media, who obviously knows Tottenham inside out. I know quite a bit about Tottenham as well. I just don't get what this is. I understand that if you're a Tottenham fan looking at Arsenal over forget the last 10 years, but you know, all the Invincibles and everything we've gone through since the late 80s. You have been the second-rate club, as you understand what I mean by that, yeah? So why is it now that second and third is lauded when we got second, third and fourth and we got ridiculed? So I'm seriously asking a serious question.
Where's the bell when you need it?
Listen, I mean,
bell when you need it.
Let him
I don't know.
speak.
I don't know if you say you got ridiculed. Did you get ridiculed by Tottenham fans for coming second, third, and fourth? Because personally, as a Tottenham fan, I would have kept quiet.
Yeah.
Because if we've been finishing, fifth, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, worst, whatever, then we're in no position to laugh at Arsenal for coming second, third, and fourth. I think, football's changed. Of course, it's important to win trophies. But Tottenham haven't won anything since the League Cup under Juan de Ramos, and then before that, the League Cup under George Graham, and neither of those trophies kind of led to anything much. Obviously, you want to be winning FA Cups, and there's a certain glamour to winning the FA Cup, but realistically, what the clubs want nowadays is to be in the Champions League. I think if you win the FA Cup, you get something like £7 million. If you're in the Champions League, you get something like 70 million. And I know that doesn't sound very glamorous, but it's the priority now of all the top clubs to be in the Champions League. And if you have a manager that can keep doing that, and I think that's part of the reason why Wenger stayed so long, because up until the very end, he was guaranteeing Champions League football year in, year out for all that period of time. And it doesn't sound very romantic, but I think that is the case in modern football. But of course, we'd love to win trophies as well.
Okay, that's fair enough. But just one thing I'll ever disagree on. I don't think football has changed in what you're talking about. We have Kev on, who obviously used to play for us. And at the end of the day, Kev, would you be happy coming second and third because you're making progress, or would you be happy to come fifth and win the FA Cup? I mean, the thing this did the Champions League, I think, has ruined our game anyway, because It's like top four. No, it's not. It's about winning the League Cup, winning the FA Cup, winning the Premier League, winning the Champions League, winning Europa Cup, winning a cup. When Arsenal came fourth, yes, we did get ridiculed a lot of players because they thought we celebrated it. We didn't celebrate coming fourth. We celebrated getting into the Champions League. But what's there to celebrate? We haven't won it. I'm happy being in the Europa League, if I'm honest, because we've got a chance of winning a trophy. But I'm quite old. I'm nearly 50. So for me, it is a generational thing, because I just don't understand when people go, Pochettino is a superb manager. Well, I base my managers on winning trophies. Sorry, go on, Kev.
Amanda, you're bang on, but what's tend to happen is, the narrative of this top four has changed, when it's really, football hasn't changed at all.
That's what I meant.
Football is about winning.
Yeah.
Football is about winning, and you always, what have you won at the end of the season? If you got a pot, if you got a trophy on the sideboard, you get your pictures and you get your team picture, and fantastic, you've got a trophy in front of you. There's no trophy to finish second. There's only first and then the rest. The rest are also runs. So for me, I find it weird that a lot of people tend to celebrate finishing in top four. But remember, the game's about money now. And the riches that come with being in the Champions League is so huge now that to some teams it's like a trophy.
Yeah.
It really is.
And that's what's ruined it, Kev, because
Yes.
it is all younger, say 20s and 30s, going, well, you're not in the Champions League. No, but we might win the Europa League, and we might have won the FA Cup. But
also that generation, Amanda, they don't know what the Europa League was before Europa League, right, guys? I mean, come on, we've sat through some of the most classic European nights. The way the Europa League was redefined, I almost feel like it's the one thing that, they need to look at in terms of redefining. And Ben, in terms of the amount of teams, I feel like more of a knockout competition, but this gets us into a whole other conversation. But the Europa League is a phenomenal trophy to win, and Unai has won it not once, not twice, but 3 times, and he's proven that he can do that. Ben, can you see him? And if he does end up bringing the Europa League trophy home to Arsenal this season, what do you think? What does his legacy then become as a European manager?
Well, I already think that he's got a very, very good legacy. One thing that he is criticised for sometimes is his poor record against the very, very top teams. For example, against Real Madrid, against Barcelona. I know it's difficult, very difficult to play those teams, but he has a very poor record, and he's described as maybe a little bit negative in those games, cowardly, for want of a better word, but maybe perhaps not quite positive enough. And obviously there was the collapse with Paris Saint-Germain against Barcelona after they secured that really excellent 4-0 win in the first leg, and maybe results haven't been quite good enough against the very biggest teams. But apart from that, I think he's got a great pedigree. Obviously, he's produced results wherever he's been. He's had good high finishes in the league, and like I said, and 3 Europa Leagues in a row for Sevilla was just incredible. And I was lucky enough to be at the final when they beat Liverpool, which was unexpected. They weren't expected to beat Liverpool in that match, and really impressive. And if he were to win it again, that would just be it would just be insane. 4 Europa Leagues in a row. Well, not in a row, but 4 in total. You make a good point about the competition as well. Of course, when it was the UEFA Cup, and we had the European Cup, it was only the winner, wasn't it, going into the European Cup. So the UEFA Cup was considered in the 80s and the 90s to be perhaps even stronger than the European Cup, because it was like the second, third, and fourth from each league going in. Whereas the champion was only the champion going into the European Cup. So I think it's a great competition with so much prestige and history. And you're right about maybe some of the younger fans don't appreciate that, and it's all about being in the Champions League. I do agree with that, but I also think it's because of the money. I don't think it's just the fans that want to be there. I think it's the club owners as well, because there's so much money in the Champions League, so that's what they prioritize, and then that trickles down to the managers. And you look at, say, Pochettino, and some of his lineups have been questioned in the FA Cup, for example, or the League Cup, when it looks like he's not prioritizing that. And I think it's for the simple reason that the club would rather be in the Champions League and would rather be competing for that top 4 finish, or trying to win the title, trying to get back into the competition. So it is a bit of a shame, but I can understand it as well.
Okay, I want to get you out on a couple of really important questions. The first one is the debate that's been going on among the Arsenal universe. And we talked to Kev a lot about this, with new managers come in and how challenging that is for players, no matter what class of player you are. When a new manager comes in, how they assess you, how they see you. You may have been a firm favourite prior. And the Mesut Ozil situation, you were at the World Cup, you covered it, you saw kind of what Ozil went through after that. We feel here on this podcast that it was a much harder thing for him to deal with than perhaps most people realise. Did Emery have any issues like that in Spain with, obviously, Ozil's kind of a very high profile player, but do you feel like this is a battle between he and Ozil? How do you see it, knowing Emery and how you've seen him manage other big players in Spain over the years?
Yeah, a couple of examples spring to mind on this, actually, Sophie. Going back to Valencia, quite a few years ago, he had a very young Isco coming through at the club, and he was extraordinarily talented. But Isco came into the team, played a few cup games here and there, scored some wonder goals for Valencia, but never really got the chance. And ultimately Malaga came in and paid his release clause, which was 6 million euros at the time, and he left Valencia without ever really getting a proper chance there. And then obviously he went on at Malaga to become the golden boy, which is the best young player in Europe. And then subsequently moving to Real Madrid, obviously having problems again now. But that's the one that really, springs to mind. And interestingly, Emery, when he's asked about that, he's always kind of stood by that decision. He's never said that he regrets it. In fact, he wrote in his book that he thought maybe Isco wasn't giving 100% in training. I think that's very, very important to Emery to be seen to be giving 100%, not just in matches, but in training as well. and he said that he had a tendency maybe to put on weight as well. So it's attitude, and perhaps there's something of that in Ozil. I think Ozil gets a lot of unfair criticism, but he wouldn't be the first person to think that of Mesut Ozil. And another example that springs to mind is Gerard Deulofeu, of course, now at Watford. Emery had him on loan while he was at Sevilla, and the two clashed a little bit. And I think Deulofeu didn't quite carry out his instructions on the pitch. Didn't really do what he wanted tactically, and I think there were question marks about his attitude as well. Another very, very exciting, very creative player, and it didn't work out. And I think there is another issue here, perhaps, and that is if you look at Isco's problems now at Real Madrid, look at the problems that James Rodriguez is having at Bayern Munich and previously had at Real as well. Is the role of a number 10 dying out in modern football when you have coaches who want really intense attacking teams with players with pace, able to track back, doing a lot of defensive work? And it seems to me that maybe there's the number 10, the traditional number 10, is a bit of a dying breed. So there could be an element of that in it too.
Wow, great assessment there. From Ben. I could talk to him forever about football, but Kev, I think you have a couple of very important questions to ask our pal here to get him out on.
Yeah, Ben, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, mate.
All right, Kev.
Who do you reckon's going to win the Champions League? And who do you reckon's going to win the Europa League?
Wow. Honestly, it's so, it's going to be a bit of a cop-out, but it's so difficult to say who's going to win the Champions League. Obviously, I could say Real Madrid, but I really don't think they're going to win it this year. They've got their problems, obviously, since Ronaldo left, and we saw that in the two Clásicos this week. So I think it's definitely more open this season, and I don't know. I think City have a very, very good chance this season, and Barcelona really, really want it after missing out to Real in the last three. So maybe they're the two favourites. Atletico, if they can keep it up after that great performance against Juventus. Diego Simeone, it's the only trophy he hasn't won as Atletico coach, and they are obsessed about winning it. And of course, the final takes place in their stadium. So they'll be one to watch out for as well. And in the Europa League, I think Arsenal have a great chance. I'll be honest, I do. And obviously, with the pedigree of Emery, and I don't see any clear favourites. I think Valencia are coming together. I think they have a great chance. They had a really, really bad start to the season, but they're really pulling it together now. They're climbing up La Liga. They might be able to get back to fourth in Champions League spot. They're in the final of the Copa del Rey. And, they're going strong in the Europa League as well. So I think they'll be big challengers as well.
Okay, Ben, that's great. Just a quick question. Do you know when your stadium's going to be open? Because it seems that every week we keep hearing that you've got a fantastic cheese room and you've got this beautiful stadium, and you seem to be the only club in the world that never gets penalised for not opening a stadium when you say you are. I just wondered, is it going to be this season, or are you starting there from August?
Well, love it. I love it. Yeah. I hear that. Yeah, there's a possibility that the Arsenal game may be the last game that they're going to play at Wembley. So hopefully it's going to be soon. The cheese room's not happening now. So
it isn't. Is that a fallacy then, or what? It was happening? Wasn't it?
Fondue room. It's going to be, they're changing it to a fondue room.
They don't need a trophy room, do they? Ben, it's so lovely. I'm so...
It's going to be great, though, and it's bigger than yours, by the way.
Listen, your trophy room doesn't need to be any bigger than ours, does it? Not for a very long time. But really appreciate you coming on and everything. Must be brave coming on a Gooner pod when we've just had that game at Wembley. But
I knew what to expect though. We're
very nice. But
he didn't do too bad, Amanda. And we'll get him on next season when Pochettino's managing Real Madrid. How about that?
Well, let's not go there.
Please,
Shall we not start rumours? So where do you think? Okay, let's go top four because I know everyone's obsessed with this. What's your top four, Ben?
My top four. I think City are going to win the league. I think Liverpool are running out of steam a little bit, and having a few problems with the elements, of course. So I think I just think City are stronger, and I think Liverpool are going to run out of steam. So City, I think Liverpool second. Tottenham, I'm hoping that we're going to cling on to third place, and I think United's momentum is going to take them to fourth. Sorry, but I do.
No, that's fair enough. And Sophie's allowed to say that, even though he's going to be wrong. He's allowed to say it because I think that, it's a big game for us on Sunday, Ben. We play United. So out of interest then, who do you want to win that?
Arsenal against United?
Yeah. You can't go for a draw, so who do you want to win it?
And you can't want both of them to lose.
Why can't I go for a draw? I mean,
you can't.
A draw would be.
I know.
A draw would be ideal. Would be ideal.
There is a reason I'm asking you this. Who do you want to win, Ben?
No, I have no preference. Honestly, you probably won't believe me, but I'm one of those fans, honestly, that I want my team to win, and I'm really not bothered about you guys.
That's what it should be like. Most of your friends are not like that, though. But so that's what I was just wondering.
But I don't think you're like that either, are you, Amanda? Are you?
See, I work like this, Ben, okay? Whatever is good for Arsenal, I don't care about anyone else. So I'm not one of these that has to have you losing every game. If it means us winning the league or a cup or something and you have to beat someone, you have to beat someone. My club comes first, not my hate for Tottenham, if you understand what I mean. I know there's a few Arsenal fans that are not like that, but it's Arsenal first, end of, if you know what I mean. So if say for instance you were playing United and you were already guaranteed third and we couldn't catch you, I'd want you to win 10-0. Absolutely. If it meant us getting fourth, but I know a lot of Arsenal fans don't think like that.
Yeah.
I also just want to be sure that Ben's absolutely sure at this point that Tottenham really are out of the title race. I just wanted to be sure about that one.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think you can lose that many times. Oh, is this a joke question, is it?
Just a little bit, but at the same time, you never know. Look at Liverpool. You're right. They've run out of steam. And people have had a go at me for saying they're choked because they're talking about form and stuff like that. But really, Kev, being a Toffee, an ex-Toffee as well, Liverpool have choked. They've lost They've dropped 11 points in the last 9 games. Is that not a choke?
No, I don't think it is. Look, they've lost 1 game all season. I don't think it's a choke. You got to go through tough times. They haven't had a bad spell of results all season.
This is it, isn't it, Kev? This is their bad patch. This is
exactly.
The wrong time. The wrong time.
And City are just storming now. I don't think Tottenham are out of it. Not yet.
They're out of it. But do you know what? Tottenham are out of it to win it. But they might decide who actually does win it.
Yes.
They go to Anfield and the Etihad.
I don't think Tottenham can win it. They're 10 points behind City and they've got an inferior goal difference as well. I think realistically, with only 9 games left, that's not going to happen. But,
I was saying that for reverse psychology, Ben. I don't think you're going to win it at all, but I was just saying it just in case. But no, I think you'll win at Anfield and I think you'll lose at the Etihad. That's what I think.
And hopefully there'll be some type of miracle result in Germany. Because we do not need you progressing to the quarterfinals of the Champions League. But if you do, it's a little bit scary, the Champions League, because Ben did touch on something, guys. It's never been more open. There's been it's a transitional year. It's a little bit weird. I actually fancy Diego Simeone maybe to bring it home finally this time around, but also it could feel like Messi's time. Ben, we really will get you out on this one. There's absolutely no way Tottenham are going to get to the Champions League final, is there?
You never know, right? I mean, we can dream. You'll all laugh at us, but we can dream. I mean, you guys got to the Champions League final once, so why couldn't? Why not?
We should have won that one too. Just saying. Hashtag refereeing again. Got gypped.
I don't know if you did, to be honest. But anyway, I don't think it's impossible. I mean, because in a knockout games, you never know, and Tottenham on the day can be brilliant or not. But
you look at the team.
Outside chance.
You look at the team that Liverpool took to win it in 2006 or 7 or whatever year it was, 2005, 2005 in Istanbul. You look at that team. It wasn't a great team. So I swear though, Ben, if you win it, I'm emigrating. That's it. I'm gone. I am gone.
Pluto.
I'm going over to LA.
No, it's not far enough, babe, because I won't be here either. I will not be here. Just saying, if you're looking for a place to stay.
I'll come and find you if that happens, wherever you may be.
I look forward to it. Ben, it's been an absolute delight. I really appreciate you coming on. I'm not sure if it was the other way around, I'd go on a Tottenham pod after that, but it's been lovely. Thanks so much.
Really enjoyed it.
You're actually, and I have to say this, a decent Tottenham fan, so that's good. Big up to you.
Thanks for your time, Ben.
Thank you, guys. I really enjoyed it. Take care.
Thanks a lot,
Cheers,
Ben.
mate.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Big thanks to Ben for coming on. As I said, I'm not sure I'd go on a Tottenham podcast today because I'm just fuming about every decision and everything that went on. But we have to move on. Okay. Now, we've got a couple of questions.
Are we ready to move on?
Yeah,
we ready to
we have to move on. We've got 2 important games coming up, which we'll discuss in a minute. But we've got a couple of questions on the Highbury squad, Soph, haven't we?
Oh, we do. I'm just you caught me by surprise there because, I wanted to get back to Kevin saying something about Aubameyang and the penalty. I guess this is one game that I just can't get out of my mind.
You need to move on. You need to move on. Whether Kev thinks he should have scored or you think there's something wrong with the run-up, we need to move on. People miss penalties. I do not blame Aubameyang. It was just one of those days. It happened. We got a point. We would have taken a point 2 weeks ago. So let's move on to the questions.
Amanda, add to that, Amanda. That it was great that the Arsenal fans were singing his name right at the end.
Yeah.
Just to give him a lift.
He's our boy, Kev. He's our boy. End of story.
Yeah.
You know, Lacazette missed 2 on the pitch. You know, so at least he stood up and took that penalty. A lot of them might have cowered away from that. The last minute of the game as well, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Fine. Listen, I know they're our boys. I root for them even when they miss penalties, and Lacazette missed 2 sitters. Yes. But whatever. Right. We'll move on to some questions. We have a question here from Gooner Nation. Actually, he has a couple of questions. Oh, looks familiar. Maybe not. We have a couple of questions from Gooner Nation. Here we go. Kev, over to you. You ready? You ready for this one? I'm going to lob it over. Let's see if you can smash it in the back of the net.
Go on.
What would success for Emery be this season, Super Kev?
Winning the Europa League. That would be success. Because two things would be, 2 objectives will be realised. One is to win a trophy, and 2 is to qualify for the Champions League. So killing 2 birds with 1 stone is really important.
All right. And the second question from Gooner Nation is what position should our summer acquisitions be targeting, and what realistic players do you think we should have in mind?
You need Arsenal, I believe, need 2 centre-halves. They need a left back. They need a right back. They need 2 midfielders. They need another striker, and they need a winger. So what is it? Probably 8 players. I reckon Arsenal need minimum 8 players because there's a lot of outgoings. Probably a keeper as well, actually. Another keeper. So there's
Do you
9
think so?
players.
Yeah, because obviously Czech's retiring.
Retiring.
Yeah.
So probably 9 players, I believe, to really beef the squad up.
I like it. I'm on Kev's. All right, Amanda, I've got one for you, seeing as you love talking to Spurs fans. We actually have a question from a Spurs fan. This is amazing. His name's Hotspur 1968. He acts like he doesn't listen to us, but he definitely listens to us. And his question is, are we still sulking after Saturday's result? Get in, PG. You tell him.
I'm not sulking. We deserve to win it. It's football. You move on. We've taken 4 points off them this season. They haven't still won any trophies for blah, 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 blah years. And we are not interested in them.
Do you know what's really hilarious? Most of our questions today are from Man United and Tottenham fans.
They're more bothered about us, honestly.
They like
really
us being, they want us salty, don't they?
Yeah.
I mean, super Kev. Usually, I mean, we've got a great relationship with the Toffee fans and stuff, but there's a who's obsessed with Man United. It's at United Obsessed. And the question is, how does fifth sound to you? Why doesn't Super Kev respond to this United fan?
Well, fifth ain't the worst position, but we're going to see on Sunday who's going to be in the ascendancy, aren't we, when we play them on Sunday? So with a bit of luck, yeah, they done us in the FA Cup, fair enough, but we're going to hopefully put something in their pipe on Sunday and beat them.
Okay, and you know what, real quick, Amanda, I know you've got a very important date to go off to, on an appointment or a dinner or some type of conversation.
Not at all. Shut up.
I'm gonna expose you at some point.
You're really not. No, you're really not.
No, all right. I was just joking. Go on, mate. Because I can't wait for this weekend's game, because I have a funny feeling it's our game.
All right.
Go
should
on.
we just predict, Kev? What do you think? Right. Let's do Ren.
2-1 Arsenal.
2-1 Arsenal to Rennes, yeah?
2-1 Arsenal, yeah.
Okay, so...
Lacazette is going to get...
I love how you...
Sorry, he can't play. Aubameyang, sorry. I keep saying Lacazette. He's suspended.
Yeah, he can't play.
Aubameyang too. Get back on the horse.
Okay.
Yeah. I actually fancy Oba to get a hat-trick. I think he's going to bounce back, and you could tell... I mean, I know I wanted him to score the penalty. Everyone did, of course, but I think we're going to find out how mentally strong Oba is, and I think he's going to bounce back, and I think we're going to win 3-1. And I love how you pronounce the city of Rennes.
Rennes. Oh, I'm common me. You know that. I'm an Essex girl. I think 2-0. I'm going for 2-0 on Thursday. But coming on to Sunday, I think we're going to beat United 2-1. I really do. I do too. I don't think they're all that, Kev, if I'm honest. And I'll tell you something, we'll be up for it, because I think, unlike what Liverpool have done, they've hit their bad patch. I think we're coming good. Look at Mkhitaryan. What the hell has happened to him? It's like we've got a new player. So I think, we're coming good. Oh, I just want to touch on something. When Ramsey scored the goal and he ran off and went, "This pitch is mine." Honestly, I just love that. We're going to miss Ramsey. Sorry, I'm not going back to that game. So, Kev, you're doing 2-1 with me.
Yeah, 2-1.
So?
All right. Well, and also just wanted to say that Rennes are 10th in Liga, so we should beat them convincingly. And against Manchester United, they're due a loss. It's happening. It is happening this weekend. I fancy us. And I think this is where Emery really starts making his mark as a manager in the Premier League. He's been really solid against the top teams. He's coming good. The team, like you said, Amanda, is playing well. I fancy us 3-2.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
We're going for that.
It's hard to get 3 goals past De Gea. Let me just rethink that a minute.
Yeah, you rethink that while I'm going to talk about something else. I had a message on Instagram, a private message from a Arsenal fan, a female Arsenal fan, who was asking me if I was at the derby on Saturday, which I wasn't at the derby, and I don't want to watch Spurs away Arsenal anymore for reasons that happened a couple of years ago, but I won't go there again. And she said, "What's it like for female fans at an away match there?" Really interesting, I've never really thought about it before, because I've travelled home and away since the 80s. Not consistently, but on and off I've been to away matches. Never really seen it as a female-male thing. But I suppose if you're not used to football, because plenty of women are at football matches home and away now, it probably can be a little bit scary. And I was really interested in this, Soph, because...
Interesting.
Yeah, it was really weird because I've never been asked that before. I've never gone to a match concerned. What happened at the Tottenham match was after the match, and there's obviously been stuff before and after matches I've been to at Tottenham. I made a decision not to go back there, and whatever. So I've never been in a situation at an away match with Arsenal fans where I'm concerned. No. It'd be really interesting if any female fans listening to this have been to an away match, not at the Emirates, an away match anywhere, and can tweet us and tell us their views on it. Because I know plenty of girls that go to many more away matches than me that don't have any issues. I actually think the women could be worse than the men sometimes. But no, I'm not.
Amanda,
it doesn't concern me at all.
No, and I think kind of we're just used to it. And I've been to, like a Lazio Roma game. I've watched Napoli play. There's no... games in the UK are tame compared to other parts of Europe. Kev has played in Turkey. Let's talk about being a Fenerbahce fan and going away to your rival, or Trabzonspor. Kev, say it for me.
Trabzonspor.
Thank you. These are fierce places to go watch football, right? I mean, Arsenal, Tottenham away is a little tame compared to even Celtic Rangers, in my opinion.
Yeah. You are right there. Look, it's tribal. And I think, Amanda, you've been around it a long time. So that tribal element is easier for you to accept. But if you're getting into football now, and there's a little bit more of that tribal element starting to come through a bit more regarding fans, because I think now, there's always an edge to an Arsenal-Tottenham game, obviously. Yeah. But most grounds you go to, obviously there's that tribal element, but most of the time you're safe.
Yeah.
So I just think if you pick your games, obviously with Spurs, it doesn't matter whether you're man, woman. It's gonna be tribal. Yeah, and you're gonna feel that atmosphere. London derbies tend to have it as well. But most places you go, you're fine. Don't you think so, girls?
Well, mine was outside, Kev. It wasn't actually in the grounds. I've never had any issues with any Arsenal fans. And I'm always on my own. I get a single ticket and I stand with whoever. And everyone's always been fine. You don't often find that. The only time there was slight trouble was with the Wenger in, Wenger out. And it was a bit toxic the last season before last season. Liverpool away wasn't pleasant, but it never was an issue as such. But it is tribal. I don't think... it doesn't bother me, but...
You only find trouble if you're looking for it.
I wasn't looking for it, Sophie. It wasn't like that. It was, it's just a situation I don't want to go into, and I'm not going to go back, really. I'm not interested in I love watching the game. I watch it on TV. It's good for me. But, so, you know what? Overall, we got a point. I think we all feel we should have got 3. The officiating was pants. It was one of those games that, if it wasn't for Leno, we could have lost that. If it wasn't for Lacazette, we could have won it. I just think it's just football, isn't it? That's what it is. And we've got a big couple of matches coming up, and we've got to win them. We really have.
Listen, after the United game, we've got a great schedule in the Premier League. We're still in this. We are well in this. Tottenham have got a couple of really hard games. Chelsea still, they're inconsistent. We're well in with the shout. I'll leave it at that.
We are.
No easy games.
No, there isn't. And I was thinking that. I actually think sometimes our easier ones are not the easy ones. But I know what Sophie means. I've looked at the schedule as well. And the TV companies have really, honestly, ruined everything. So many Monday night games. Oh, whatever. I don't want to moan because I'm okay. And I would just like to say a little thank you because for some unknown reason, I've hit 24,000 followers on Twitter. I don't know why anyone follows me, if I'm honest, because all I do is sarcastic.
I don't know why either.
I knew you were going to say that.
No, you didn't.
I didn't know you were going to say that. I just want to say thank you. I don't even know what to say. It's like a small football ground, isn't it? But
say thank you, for God's sake.
I'm going to. I've said thank you on Twitter, and I really appreciate it. I don't know why. I just think it's funny. I joined Twitter just to have a bit of banter with Arsenal fans because that's what I was told goes on. I didn't even understand Twitter. I really wasn't a Twitter person, and now I love it, and I've met the most amazing people, you two as well, and just been wonderful. And you just, not only Arsenal fans, I converse with so many different fans of other teams, which I love as well, and even a couple of decent Spurs fans. But I just want to say thanks, honestly. I just still don't know why. You must be all nuts to follow me. But it's
well
been
done, well done, well done.
Someone said, "How are you going to celebrate?" I said, "Get the bell."
Where we need the bell.
So weird. It's so weird. Why anyone?
Someone's stolen it.
It's bizarre. But I'd also love everyone that's following the Highbury Squad pod. We're nearly up to 3,000 followers, and that's amazing too, because we work really hard on it. Don't we, so?
We do. We work. I'm working. I'm busting my balls right now, to be honest with you.
Really
I'm sweating from how many balls I'm busting.
And Kev too. Yeah. No, we want to thank you all.
I just wanted to say a quick thank you to everyone at the LA Galaxy for an amazing weekend, by the way. Real quick. It was really superb. And I mentioned to those guys that, we were going to talk about it a little bit on today's show, and next week's show we can get into it a little bit more. I'm excited to follow Zlatan this season in what could be his last ever season playing football. Just being up and close to the big man is really quite unbelievable. He's such a character. His press conferences are amazing. His post-training comments, he's always going to say something fascinating. Yeah. And then to top it all off, hanging out with David Beckham and the statue reveal, I think, we Brits should be really proud of what he does and how he represents us globally. And he's really become an adopted son here in the United States, and people love him in LA. So I just wanted to say thank you to everyone at LA Galaxy that was involved in that. It was really quite a brilliant 2-day event.
Yeah, it looked
fantastic.
Lovely. It looked brilliant.
Saw the photos, look really good.
Yeah, lovely to get close to Beckham as well. He's great. He is great. He's a great advocate for this country and for football and everything. Good luck to him. Right, well, that's it, boys and girls. We're off. Next time you'll hear from us will be after the United game. And thank you, Sophie and Kevin, for coming on the pod again. It's just the three amigos, isn't it?
You're welcome.
Super Kev, Super Kev, Super Kevin Campbell. You dissed mine and Kevin's singing, so I thought I'd end on a little song.
No, none of you like my singing. Right. Always.
Hey, by the way, hold on. Before you finish, the Merseyside derby.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yes, Kev.
Fantastic. We've mentioned Red Nose John on here quite a few times.
Yeah, we have.
And Red Nose John and I had a bet. I just got to tell you this. We had a bet. He bet Liverpool would do the double over Everton this season. I bet they wouldn't. So then we put some money on it. Obviously, after the first game at Anfield, which I was getting absolute loads of pelters for when Jordan Pickford made that blunder.
Yeah.
And Liverpool won. So everything was riding on this game. Obviously, it finished 0-0. And to be fair to Red Nose John, he said, right, I'll give you the money. I said, why don't we do something for the fans? So we ended up putting the money behind the Winslow pub bar for the Blues. So all the Everton fans got a bevy on Red Nose John.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So there you go.
We do love
Good
John.
play to Red Nose John.
Don't we, Kev? We do love John. We just can't tell him too much. That's what we can't
No,
say.
Don't tell him too much.
No, his head's big enough, but we do love a bit of Red Nose John. Right, okay, so that's it. We're done. And always Arsenal!